Alex and the Demon. 10-feet-high hedges made the outline of the maze of blood roses, which seemed to extend longer than Alex's drained body could carry him. Absalom, the vampire who had put him in such a sorry state, half walked him, half drug him along. All the turns looked the same. The scenery never changed. There were no discerning landmarks to tell whether or not they were even going the right way. Alex supposed that was the purpose of calling it a maze, though. It wasn't until they reached the center that he realized where the roses part came in. A St. Andrew's cross stood surrounded by the most beautiful white roses that he had ever seen. This was where he was to die, he imagined. Alex thought to struggle when Absalom backed him up to the cross, placing his wrist in one of the shackles to bind him. But Alex now had even less energy thanks to being dragged around the maze. Perhaps he should have mustered up the strength when he had access to a weapon. Within minutes, Alex was completely bound and helpless, hanging lifelessly amidst the beautiful white roses, waiting for whatever was to come next. Absalom seemed in no particular hurry. He whistled a happy little tune as he pulled a fan-tipped paintbrush and a box cutter from his trench coat pocket. Alex eyed the box cutter nervously when the vampire pressed a button on the side to bring out the blade. It looked rusty, like it had seen more than a few similar trips to the maze of blood roses. "What are you going to do with that?" Alex asked, knowing that he wouldn't like the answer. "I told you, Alex Finch, it is my job to paint the roses red." "Yeah, but paint the roses red? How?" "Like this." Absalom slashed the rusty razor across Alex's chest, causing his entire body to wince back against the cross. The cut felt incredibly deep, but when Alex looked down, he saw that it was just enough to get a thin trickle flowing. Then the vampire took his paintbrush and dabbed it into the blood before turning to the roses, taking one between two of his fingers and stroking the blood onto its pure white petals. To Alex's surprise, the flower seemed to respond. It opened up a little, his blood soaking into its veins, turning the petal from white to crimson. "As you can see," the vampire said, "this is going to be a lengthy process. There are 8,640 rose petals in this garden, and they must all be painted individually with your blood." Alex wondered if he had had enough blood for that. It didn't seem possible. One thing was for certain, his death would be slow and painful. Cut after cut, petal after petal, drop after drop, the roses were painted red. By the time Absalom had reached the last rose bush, Alex didn't think there was a spot left on him that hadn't been cut. His hands, arms, chest, stomach, legs, feet were completely brutalized, making Alex feel like a living, breathing, open wound. All that he wanted was to die, for the agony to be over. There was a rustling sound in the maze a few yards from where they were, and if not for the vampire cursing under his breath, Alex would have thought he was hearing things. Absalom picked up the pace, carelessly cutting Alex at the closest place his hand could reach so that he could paint the roses faster. He wasn't fast enough, though. By the time the hulking red demon came into view, there was still one rose unfinished. Ignoring it, the vampire dropped the brush to his side, coming to attention in front of the demon like a soldier. If Alex wasn't so close to death, he might have thought to be horrified. The demon of hearts was at least 8 feet tall, probably closer to 9 with his raven-black horns. He was all broad muscle and red skin, with wicked-looking green serpent eyes, black hooves, and horns that would make the largest bull jealous. A razor-sharp smile pierced through Alex's very soul as the demon gazed down on his vampire subordinate.